Why aren't people thinking? Hey folks, something that you really need to understand if you're going to heal properly, if you're going to heal from the inside out, is you need to understand about the medical industry. You need to understand the health industry. You need to understand what it is they're trying to get from you. They want your money. Essentially, they want your money. Now, wherever there's profit involved in a business, then there's going to be some marketing and there's going to be some advertising, and maybe people have your best interests at heart and they have to make a buck along the way. And so they do a bit of advertising and maybe promote their message. But essentially, there's a good cause at heart. And I think most people believe that this is what the medical industry is. But I've got to tell you, it's really not like that. The medical industry is a fully blown corporate money making machine. That's what it is. Diseases like cancer and heart disease bring millions of dollars into the economy every year. Economies like the UK and the US, they need diseases to keep them turning over, to keep that cycle happening. They need the meat and dairy industry to keep pushing that, to keep lobbying the government, have all the meat and dairy in the supermarkets and keep them at a price that people can afford them, and keep buying all this disease causing food so that they can keep getting heart disease, cancer, and keep the whole cycle going, keep people dumbed down, really, keep people just unaware of the bigger picture of what's happening, so that the money keeps coming in and the profit keeps growing. Because the medical industry has taken on the image of an industry, we have come to operate with it in that way, which is not the best. Because what happens now is, if we get sick, we go to our doctor and we expect him to give us some kind of prescription, some kind of drug that's going to heal us and send us on our way again. And we're happy to pay the subsidized prescription fee, but ultimately the drugs companies get their money. That money goes into the industry and the economy grows. The government stays in control. We basically view it as a service. We view our doctor as somebody we can go to, pay the money that we need to, get the pills, and the most amount of responsibility that we ever take is, right, I must take this tablet 2 or 3 times a day, and that's it. I've met people that are really sick, but the only responsibility that they ever take for their health is the responsibility of taking the tablets every day. They never look inwardly. They never take it upon themselves to really try and understand what's happening to their body. On the other hand, I've met people that have refused to take their medicines and their doctors have told them off for this. The doctors aren't congratulating them on actually trying to understand the disease and understand what's wrong with them, but instead they just get told off by the doctor for not taking the tablets that they were given. One of the things that really worries me here in the UK is the use of statin drugs. This is a drug that is used to reduce the bad cholesterol in the blood, in order to reduce heart disease. Now, some of the side effects of this are muscle fatigue, liver damage, cancer is even cited as one of the side effects. And what the government has said is anybody with above a 20% chance of heart disease can be prescribed this medication. And in fact, they want to reduce that down to 10%, that same figure down to 10% threshold, which is crazy. There's no long-term test data on offer for this drug because fairly new to the market, relatively speaking. And people, like highly educated people, are falling for this, taking the drug, getting the side effects, and just thinking, oh, it's all par for the cause of taking the statin drug. Why aren't people thinking? In the 1950s, a drug came on the market called thalidomide, and this was being prescribed to pregnant women throughout the 50s for use as a mild sleeping pill. And it wasn't until the 60s that they realised there was a connection between the use of thalidomide and women having deformed children. It was eventually taken off the market, but not before around about 10,000 people were born deformed. During my parter healing, I had lots of frustrating appointments with dermatologists and doctors who were insisting that a light steroid cream was the way to control my eczema over time. But obviously, I grew far more interested in fixing it permanently and having a long-term solution, and none of them could offer me that, and so I had to go my own way and start doing my own research. So look, I'm not against the health system at all. I think we're extremely privileged in countries like the UK and the US to have a health system that we can rely on and go to in times of crisis. But what I would say is we need to follow the money. We need to know who is making money off of our illnesses, and we need to understand this before we buy into it. Not just with our money, but before we buy into it with our mental energy too.